guys, and welcome back to today's video. I hope you guys are all doing great. I believe this is going up on Friday, so yes, happy Friday. If you are new here, hi, my name is Dana. I am a wife to Josh, and then a homeschooling mama to a kindergartner, a preschooler, and then my now 1-year-old. Well, she'll be 1 on Sunday, but she's close enough. As you can tell from the title down below, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 simple tips for new homeschoolers. And these are tips not necessarily just for new homeschoolers. These are things that I'm honestly having to remind myself and reiterate to myself quite often throughout our school week. And even though I don't remind myself on a daily basis, these are all things that I have to think about probably on a weekly basis. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let's get into it. So the first tip I have, and this is something that I have to remind myself of and reiterate to myself quite often. You take a hair bow off? Yeah, you're just done with it? Whoop. And that would be to not try to mimic an actual formal school, if that makes sense. Like when we choose to homeschool, we are not trying to create that classroom setting for the kiddos. At least in our home, I don't want it to be to where the kids walk in, they sit at their desk, they only ask questions if their hands are raised, there's no engagement, there's no interaction and things like that. And I want my kiddos to not have that experience. That's why we are homeschooling. And I have to remind myself of that a lot when I want to have them be able to sit down at the desk and, do their school in a timely manner and everything like that. But then on the flip side, I always do need to remind myself that's not why we're homeschooling. I'm not homeschooling to create a school in my house. I am homeschooling to create a love of learning in my home. So it's like 2 totally different mindsets. So that would be probably the most important thing that you do. One thing that I would recommend doing, if this is something that you might struggle with, is honestly if you are pulling your kids out of school, or if this is your first year homeschooling, especially if you are taking your kids out of school, this would be especially for you, and that would be to spend the first few months before you break open the curriculum and the books to completely kind of on school together as a family, to not even open the curriculum. But by on schooling, I mean just do everything learning that doesn't involve the actual curriculum. And it can be so hard to do, especially if you're so used to school being at a set time, at a set hour, with a set sheet of paper and a set book. But I would definitely recommend kind of taking a few months and, go to the nature park, go on a nature walk, do a unit study based on what your kids are interested in, make them excited, make them engaged, make it a whole lifestyle of learning type atmosphere in your home, so they don't just think, okay, we're just doing school at home, this is boring, where's my friends? But it's a totally different mindset. It really, really is. And it's honestly one that I still have to remind myself of, and I'm really guilty of thinking that, oh, we have to be doing school on a schedule, on a time, and things like that. And having to remind myself that this is not why we homeschool. I don't homeschool to, like I said, put my kids on a schedule and make them finish a book. But it is creating an atmosphere of learning in our home, and that's one of my goals in my homeschool, is to create kind of that lifelong learning habit, or a habit of lifelong learning, there you go, with my kids. But yeah, so that is definitely something that I have to remind myself of, and I know if this is your first year homeschooling, that might be a struggle for you as well. The second tip I have would be to know your reason why, and I would put it in plain sight, like write out your reason why, put it on your refrigerator so you're seeing it quite often, and keep it on the forefront of your mind, because it's not if you have those bad days, it's going to be when you have those longer days, especially when you're homeschooling. And I know a lot of homeschool mamas can probably relate to that, but there's always going to be those hard days, and if you know your reason why you're doing something, it's going to make it so much easier getting through those difficult days, those longer days. So my reason why, or should I say my top 2 to 3 goals in homeschooling that I try to always keep on the forefront of my mind. And the reason number 1 would be, for our reason to homeschool, would be to create Christ followers with our children. Like, we want them to be Christ followers. We want them to learn to grow and love the Lord and mold them into who we believe God has called them to be. And so that would be our number 1 reason for wanting to homeschool our children. And the second reason would be kind of what I mentioned before, and that is to create a love of learning, because you are really learning for your entire life, and if we could create a good habit with learning and with researching and with exploring and growing and things like that, then that would be definitely a big goal to have. And that is our second goal in our homeschool, is we do want to create a lifelong learning pattern with our kids, and so they know that school is not something that you sit down and do and then you're done, no more learning. We want to create, like I said, that flow of just exploration, creativity, and all the things like that. My third tip for first-time homeschoolers especially would be to attend a homeschooling convention. They are amazing. I know most states do have a homeschooling convention, but do look up your local states. Go to Google and type in your state plus just homeschooling convention. So if you're in Kansas, Kansas homeschooling convention, and things like that, and then hopefully some will pop up for you, and then you can see when they will be next year. Typically the homeschooling conventions are from March to July, so see if you can find one that's close to you or at least within driving distances. I know a lot of our friends try to make like weekend trips out of it, or their family vacations surrounding like the week of the convention, homeschooling convention. But there is no greater benefit than actually going to attend this. You are in a community of thousands of others homeschoolers, and you don't get that anywhere else. But there's some conventions that will have 15,000, 20,000 homeschoolers gathering. And it's amazing because you also have the hundreds of vendors. You can pick and choose curriculum. You can actually look at curriculum. You can feel curriculum. You can go to workshops where you learn exactly what you want to learn about, whether it be different educational methods or how to teach your child this and how to teach your child that. And it's incredible, and there's hundreds and hundreds of workshops that you can go, you can listen to, you can grow, you can laugh at them, you can cry through them. Like, that's an amazing experience. And then just the sense of community itself is something that is very beautiful, on top of the benefits of, like I said, all the workshops and the vendors, speakers, and things like that. But definitely, if you're a first-time homeschooler, try to attend a convention. And I know it could be overwhelming, especially for a first-time homeschooler, when you open the exhibit hall and there's like hundreds of curriculums to choose from. So I would probably also recommend that before you attend a homeschooling convention, to kind of look online and kind of see honestly what curriculum you're already interested in. That way when you go, you kind of have pinpointed your first choices, so to speak. And then you can actually go and flip through all the grades and all the books, and it's just a really fun experience, and highly recommend attending a convention. The fourth tip I have for new homeschoolers would be to prioritize your actually homeschool hours, however that may look like for you. I recently posted a video of our family's new rhythm. We don't follow an actual hour-by-hour schedule, but I have created more of a rhythm in our home. And so I make sure, even though I'm not sure exactly what hours they will be, I do know that, you know, after breakfast we'll flow into our school morning. And try to make sure that when you actually are starting school that there are minimum distractions. You can just get it done quickly, especially the necessities. Like for us, it would be language arts and math right now, to make sure that it just flows together nicely and that there are minimal distractions that will help you honestly just stay on track, but also keep the stress out of it. If you know that this set time of day or this set area of the day, or whatever you want to call it, is set aside specifically for school, but really take it flow and take the stress out of your homeschool day, if that makes sense. The fifth and final tip of the day, and this is the one that I do have to kind of tell myself every single day with the kiddos, because mine are just in kindergarten and preschool, so it is such a fun age. And so the number one tip I would have, especially for me, I'm talking to me here too, that would be to have fun with it. Just have so much fun with it. Go on the nature walk, go to the park, do the unit study, find out what they are interested in and learn that. Close the textbook just for a week and do a full-blown unit study for that week, and watch them just come alive with the passion for that subject. And just like, yeah, have fun. Like, there's no greater joy and there is no greater privilege than being able to homeschool your children, even on those long days. Like I said, go back and remember your why. Madeline, hi. Well guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it somewhat useful. And like I said, these are all little simple tips that I'm honestly having to speak to myself as well, especially the having fun part and the whole stepping away from it being like a school part, because it's not a school. Like, yes, we do school at home, but it's definitely very different. But yeah, I do hope you guys got something from it, and if you did enjoy it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I'd love to have you join our family, and you can do so by subscribing down below. But until our next video, you guys stay safe and God bless. Bye. So big. So big.